Hey, I'm Robbie Grayson. I'm the creator of Trait Marker, and I'm doing a 9-part video series called Dissolving the Past. And in it, I'm going to show you how to collapse time in order to get things done more efficiently. And in this first lesson, we're going to answer the question, what is the past? Now, in grade school, we were taught that there were 3 different tenses, and that these 3 different tenses required of us each a different focus. So there's past, present, and future. And the past required us to remember. The present required us to do, and then the future required us to expect. Now, we were also told that these 3 tenses made, so to speak, a triad, and that triad represented the smallest unit of time in our lives. We'll call it a moment. And in that one moment, we were required to merge all 3 of these focuses into one. So this triangle, shaded in, represents a single moment in time, and also represents the merging of all 3 of these focuses into one. Now think about a single moment in your life and ask yourself the question, how much time does each tense get? Now, we know that the present tense gets the least amount of time because the present tense is already crowded out by a preoccupation with the past and a focus on the future. The future gets the less amount of time because it's an unknown. It is the past that gets the lion's share of our time in one single present moment because the past has already happened, and because it's happened, it's safe. It's a retrieval system in which we can pull things that make us comfortable or things that distract us. And ultimately, it is the one thing that we feel that somewhere in our past, there is something hidden, that if we can find it, it's the key to our present that will unlock our future. Now, again, the merging of all 3 of these tenses into one focus in one moment in time is what we call psychological time. And we call it psychological time because it happens nowhere else in the universe except in our heads. And the form that psychological time takes is this constant conversation you have in your head where you're talking to yourself, you're talking to other people, you're remembering the past, you're editing the past. But it's just this never-ending, and think about your brain as 2 parts. It's the upper story conversation that happens all the time. It's part of your brain, believe it or not, that you can control. But for some reason, we think that it's involuntary. Now, this is a critical transition in this conversation. And what that is that any behavior that is critical to the survival of any creature does not take the form of this remembering. No, remembering takes a completely different form. The remembering takes the form of an assimilation into your base nature. That is to say, these memories are encoded in your blood stream, in your nervous system, in your muscle memory. Ultimately, it takes the form of an involuntary behavior. So think about it this way. Your person gives every thought that comes into your head a test. And that test is going to be whether or not it's going to stay in the upper story where you just think about it, or whether or not it's going to be absorbed subconsciously into your behavior. And so for whatever reason, each of us have been given just these series of tests by our persons. And for whatever reason, our persons have chosen these sorts of involuntary behaviors that are unique to each of us. Now, when I talk about the past, I'm talking about an involuntary negative behavioral pattern that is provoked in the present moment. So in answering the question, what is the past? The past is any time that you have this provoked, involuntary, negative moment. That is the past in you. So it's not necessary at that point to be able to go back into your past and figure out what information you're missing. No, it all takes the form of this behavior. So in the next talk, we're going to talk about the difference between natural time and psychological time and how that affects our decisions. We'll see you in the next video.